The silence of an artillery battery due to a lack of ammunition poses a greater strategic threat than an enemy offensive. In the high-intensity attrition warfare characterizing the modern security landscape of Europe, the doctrine of logistics has shifted from a background support element to the central pillar of national survival. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has brutally exposed the fragility of European ammunition stockpiles, demonstrating that high-tech platforms like the Archer artillery system or the K9 Thunder are rendered operationally obsolete within days without a continuous industrial-scale supply of 155mm shells. Within this context, the Nordic region has emerged not merely as a consumer of security, but as a critical producer, with the Nordic Ammunition Company, commonly known as Nammo, standing at the epicenter of the continent's effort to rearm. For decades, Western military planning relied on the concept of just-in-time logistics, a philosophy borrowed from the automotive industry to maximize economic efficiency. This model assumed short, sharp conflicts where existing stockpiles would suffice until a diplomatic resolution was reached. The reality of 2026 demands a reversion to just-in-case logistics, where redundancy and mass production capacity are paramount. Nammo, jointly owned by the Norwegian government and the Finnish defense contractor Patria, represents the industrial sovereignty of the Nordic region. Its facilities are no longer operating on peacetime schedules, but have shifted to a war-footing tempo, running shifts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to meet an insatiable demand. The scale of the requirement is staggering. Pre-2022 production rates for large-caliber ammunition in Europe were calibrated for training exercises and minor expeditionary operations. Current assessments indicate that a single week of high-intensity combat can consume a volume of shells that previously took industry leaders a year to manufacture. In response, Nammo has initiated an aggressive expansion strategy aiming to increase production capacity by 5 to 10 times compared to pre-war levels. The strategic target is to reach an annual output of 200,000 artillery shells by the late 2020s, a figure that places the Nordic entity in direct competition with continental giants like Rheinmetall. This expansion is not speculative, but is driven by long-term contracts from the Swedish Defense Material Administration and the Finnish Defense Forces, ensuring that the industrial base is sustained by guaranteed orders rather than fluctuating market trends. However, the production of an artillery shell is a complex metallurgical and chemical orchestration, and throwing money at the problem does not yield immediate results. The critical bottleneck facing Nammo and its European counterparts is not the steel casing, but the propellant. While machining metal bodies at the Karlskoga facility in Sweden can be accelerated with new CNC machines and additional labor, the production of energetic materials at the Vitavuori plant in Finland is bound by the immutable laws of chemistry. High-grade military gunpowder requires a curing process that takes months to complete to ensure stability and consistent ballistic performance. This temporal constraint means that the investments made today will only materialize as usable ammunition on the front lines several months or even years down the road. Furthermore, the supply chain for these propellants reveals a disturbing geopolitical vulnerability. The production of nitrocellulose, a primary ingredient in gunpowder, relies heavily on cotton linters. A significant portion of the global supply of this specific type of cotton originates from China. This dependence creates a strategic risk where a potential adversary could choke off the ammunition supply of Europe simply by restricting raw material exports. Consequently, Nammo is actively exploring alternative sources and methods to secure this supply chain, a move that is essential for genuine strategic autonomy. The ability of the Vitavuori plant to refine and process these materials is arguably more critical to Finnish and Swedish national security than the acquisition of any single fighter jet or tank platform. The synergy between Sweden and Finland within the Nammo structure serves as a textbook example of the Nordic defense cooperation in practice. It illustrates a cross-border division of labor that maximizes the industrial strengths of each nation. Sweden, with its deep-rooted history in metallurgy and precision engineering, serves as the forge for the shell bodies and warheads. Finland, with its robust chemical industry and strategic stockpiling culture, provides the energetic propellants that give the weapon its reach. When a CV-90 infantry fighting vehicle fires a round, or a K9 howitzer engages a target at 30 kilometers, it is the result of a seamless industrial integration between these two nations. This interdependence creates a formidable barrier to disruption. To neutralize the Nordic artillery capability, an adversary would need to dismantle infrastructure in both countries simultaneously. Financial support from the European Union, specifically through the Act in Support of Ammunition Production, has further catalyzed this growth. Nammo has been a primary beneficiary of these funds, which are designed to remove bottlenecks and subsidize the construction of new production lines. Yet, the flow of capital from Brussels to Nordic factories signifies more than just economic aid. It represents a shift in the gravity of European defense. The industrial capacity of the North is becoming a cornerstone of NATO deterrence on the eastern flank. The factories in Karlskoga and Sastamala are being integrated into the wider alliance logistics network, ensuring that Swedish and Finnish standards effectively become the regional benchmark. This industrial ramp-up also has significant implications for the export market. As nations globally rush to replenish depleted stocks, the reliability and performance of Nordic ammunition have garnered attention beyond the immediate region. The combat performance of Western artillery systems in Ukraine has validated the necessity of high-precision, extended-range munitions. Nammo has specialized in these high-value segments, such as base bleed and rocket-assisted projectiles that allow standard 155mm guns to strike targets at distances exceeding 40 kilometers. By focusing on quality and range dominance rather than just mass commodity production, the company ensures that Swedish and Finnish forces possess a qualitative edge over potential adversaries who may rely on massed, shorter-range fire. Ultimately, the resurgence of the ammunition industry in Sweden and Finland is a revival of the concept of total defense. It reinforces the message that credible deterrence relies on the ability to sustain combat operations indefinitely. The newly signed multi-year framework agreements provide the industry with the certainty needed to invest in heavy machinery and workforce training. This creates a virtuous cycle where increased production capacity lowers the unit cost per shell, making defense budgets more efficient while simultaneously boosting the local economy. In the final analysis, the roar of the machinery at Nammo facilities is as potent a signal of resolve as the deployment of troops to the border. It demonstrates to any potential aggressor that Sweden and Finland possess not only the will to fight, but the industrial stamina to wage a prolonged conflict. The era of hollow armies and empty warehouses has ended in the north. Through the strategic expansion of Nammo, the region is forging a shield of steel and chemistry, ensuring that if the guns of the north are ever called upon to speak, they will not run silent due to a lack of supply. The strategic depth provided by this industrial base secures the sovereignty of Helsinki and Stockholm in a way that diplomatic assurances alone never could.